Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, Illinois Arts Council Agency, and by the supportive viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello, welcome to Illinois Stories. I'm Mark McDonald at the Ace Sign Company in Springfield, and as you can see, it's become a kind of a Route 66 destination because inside this building there's a sign museum. Signs, of course, from streets and buildings from decades past. We were here 10 years ago when Ace Sign moved into this new location, and they had a very small sign museum at the time. And I thought, well, when they expand that, I want to come back. Well, they expanded it, and we're back. When you walk into Ace Sign Company, you get into a reception area. And Todd, when I was here some 10 years ago, we were doing a story about the company because you had recently moved to this facility. Part of that was about the history of the company, but this is where the sign museum was, in this part of it. Boy, have you guys grown that sign museum.
We have, we really have. It's, I remember seeing some videos of your past visit and a lot of space in between, and well, there's not as much space in between anymore. We've really filled it in.
Well, it was very impressive, but when people, if they haven't seen it now, this entire production space that you have here is full of big signs and huge signs that you just, it takes a big room to hold.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to see next. But I wanted to stop here just for a minute because what we do is we get a sense of the timeline of the company from 1940, and you go through the decades here all the way up to the 2020s. And it gives you a sense of history and a sense of space and time and how the different members of the family were part of it. Yeah. And family's a big deal in the Ace Sign Company, isn't it?
It is, it really is. Yeah, we've been enhancing that story as well too, where there was a lot even prior to 1940 that was part of our family business, the horn sign system, prior to the inception of Ace Sign Company back in 1887 starting. It was my third great-grandfather, so our generation is the sixth generation of sign makers here in Springfield. And they started with carriage decoration and custom signs, and it's really expanded a lot over the years. The Depression was a rough time for the business, as it was for so many businesses, and so that was our reset in 1940 with my great-grandfather starting Ace Sign Company. But yeah, it was pretty incredible legacy there, and we've been bringing that horn sign system legacy back into the picture a little bit more too.
Do you think you could hand paint signs like your ancestors did? Do you think you could?
I had a piece of glass in my parents' basement. I used to practice hand brushing.
Right? Were you any good at it?
I was okay. I never had enough of that repetition. Dad was of the last generation of full-time hand painters. In fact,
but you got the gene apparently, right?
Yeah, we got the artistic gene, I guess.
Let's go take a look at this area because this is just we got to spend as much time as we can here. And this is like the portal from the reception area to the sign museum. But you're first confronted with these beautiful old cars, and I have a feeling these were Grandpa's, and we're going to get a chance to talk to him about them.
Yes. Yep. They got the Model A, very reminiscent for a lot of our Route 66 travelers of that era, and then the International pickup truck here. This was much like the one that Grandpa Horn had when he started Ace Sign Company in 1940. It was different technologies, but the pickup truck and a ladder and your brush kit, and that was a bulk of what you needed for the sign business.
And people from Central Illinois would get a kick out of this because when they see these signs, most of them are from right around here, and if they're old enough, they would have remembered these signs hanging up, wouldn't they?
Yeah, it's excellent to be able to create a legacy for more than just what Ace Sign Company has done here in Springfield, but all of the clients that we have served over the years. It's just incredible the number of people whose parents or some relative has been employed by someone like Reich Brewery.
Yeah, and there's a good example of a beautiful sign right there, the Reich Brewery sign. And of course now they're brewing beer again, so that's kind of an interesting side to that too. And then Paris Cleaners, of course, from the early 1900s, they've been around for a long time, and their neon signs you're still visible.
Yep. Yeah, the Reich family just hosted an event here in our museum not too long ago.
Well, we might mention that too, because the possibility exists for all of these tables and all of this equipment to roll out. So if you want to have an event here surrounded by all these neon and old signs, you can do it.
We have so many great associations here in Springfield, nonprofits doing great work, and so this is a really unique space for us to be able to connect with the community as well too. We have trivia nights and all kinds of folks doing fundraising events in here. Yeah, dim all the house lights and you kick on and all the neon.
Oh,
and
it's a real mood. It's a real mood.
Beautiful.
Isn't it? Yeah, yeah. But this is of course. You can't help but notice the Steak and Shake guy right up there.
Yes.
And he was a Springfield fixture, wasn't he?
Yes, that was the second Steak and Shake here in Springfield. That was 6 and Ash, and yeah, kind of fun. You can see in the museum here. You can see the evolution of the Steak and Shake guy. We've got in the far opposing corner. We've got the first one, which was on.
Well, let's go that way. Because we got things to see on the way too.
Yep.
This Pepsi Cola cap is it's too big to put almost anywhere else except on that wall. That's phenomenal. Tell me about that.
Good size Pepsi cap. That's about a 12-foot tall Pepsi bottle cap. This is a 1953 Pepsi bottle cap. It was really back in the era where Pepsi was making this strong surge in the direction of this Hollywood style. The CEO of Pepsi at the time had married a gal who was a big actress in Hollywood, and so she had a major influence on Pepsi and really pushed in that direction. And for a lot of people that see that Pepsi Coke bottle cap, that's really something that they can resonate with, because like all good things, those styles come back. So in the 90s, we've seen this style come back for Pepsi, and
Where was that originally? Do you have any idea?
It was on a temporary billboard structure here in Springfield. It was made by a Greeley company, and they had had it up temporarily, took it down, put it into storage, and it sat in storage in a warehouse on 11th Street for about 65 years. And we pulled that down, had about 2/3 of the neon that needed to be replaced.
Boy, it
and
holds
brought
a
up
lot,
to
doesn't
glory.
it? That is a lot of neon.
Yep. Ruby red neon too. A very rare neon that's hard to come by these days too.
Now, if we just turn around a little bit, we see two huge signs. The first is a Sputnik here. It looks like a Sputnik anyway.
Yes.
What was that thing?
Yeah, that was from the Bel Air Motel.
Oh,
here,
sure, the sign's right
Springfield.
behind it. Yeah.
Yep. They gentleman out of North Carolina actually invented those for a lot of diners and motels back in the Route 66 era. He had a Christmas ornament that was the inspiration for these, and he came up with this iteration that had these spikes on it, and of course that was right before the time of the space race, and they then connected the Sputnik satellite and the spikes that come off of it with the style of that, and the nickname Sputnik stuff. In fact, we had a family that had come through traveling Route 66, and they were touring, told Gal the story of the Sputnik, and her 5-year-old daughters pointed up at it, and she said, "Oh, that's COVID." So, the relations that we have to all these things, and the shapes and just the meaning of all that kind of stuff.
Well, another Illinois fixture. I mean, up there, the huge watch sign. Okay, at one point, Illinois Watch Company was one of the biggest watchmakers in the country.
Yeah.
Made railroad watches mostly.
Yep.
But now look at that. This is before neon. Those are like Edison bulbs, aren't they?
Yep. These are 6-foot tall porcelain enamel letters that were on the outside of the Illinois Watch Company, and spelled out Illinois Watch Co.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you could imagine the scale.
An immense
of that
building to hold that.
Yes.
And of course, it was an immense building, and the building is still there.
Yep.
And speaking about immense, a lot of people remember this too. This tropic sign over here. Now the sign is back. You fixed it and put it back in place in Lincoln.
Yes.
But this is this is the scale of it, and this is what you actually used when you were fixing it, I guess. Huh? This was
this is the original face. A lot of components of this were not in a good enough condition to have the stability they needed to last another lifetime.
Yeah.
But in that refurbishing process, we saved these old faces so they could be appreciated on a couple levels.
And then just above it, Sunrise Donuts. Now, when this was, I think this was on 9th Street in Springfield. They'd been out of business for a long time, but the sign remained, and it became a real conversation piece, didn't it?
It was,
and
yeah.
so I guess you all fixed it up. It's in mint condition now. It's gorgeous.
Thank you. Yeah. The Sunrise Donuts sign, that particular location was a Mexican restaurant while it had the Sunrise Donuts sign up for a long time, and it just became this kind of landmark of Route 66 and that piece of Springfield. So the sign was saved and preserved by the Commission of Visitor Bureau, and we donated the full restoration side of it and the removal, and we continue to find as many opportunities as we can to preserve Route 66 history.
Well, and now it's still a tourist attraction because people want to come in here to see it.
Yep.
We talked about Steak and Shake guy. And also, Springfield people also know the Cozy Dogs up there. You can see the original sign, and of course the Cozy Dogs themselves. So another Springfield fixture.
There's Route 66 must stop.
Yeah, and I guess still is. People still come for it, don't they?
Yep, we've had tremendous amount. The tourism side and of course the impact of Abraham Lincoln here in Springfield, but it is incredible the number of people that come through the museum from Germany, from France, and just making that Route 66 haul.
You won't have time to run a company anymore. You're going to have to be a tour guide all the time.
We have family, and we've got family that have retired, and so we've got a lot of really good tour guides as well too.
Okay.
We've got history built in.
I promised the folks in the reception area that we'd take a little tour of, this is the old Sears warehouse. It's now the new Ace Sign Company. But there are more signs back here, and you're making changes all the time. So let's go back this way. And we can look up on this wall. This is your gas station alley here, isn't it?
Yes, our auto wall.
Wow.
Yeah, some
Very
neat,
impressive.
Neat pieces there. We've got the collectible signs. Of course, porcelain enamel is like really the hot ticket. This Standard Oil sign here is one of the original porcelain enamel Standard Oil signs. In fact, in the museum, you can also see the original white opal glass flame that sat on top of that sign as well too, which is very.
When you say the original, what sort of date are we talking about?
This would be like 1920s era.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's in remarkable condition.
Yeah.
Really cleaned up nicely.
Yeah, porcelain enamel, amazing production technique. It will literally last for 100 years, keeping the same color. Incredible.
These neon bars up here, are these just for demonstration?
These are a color sample chart of your traditional glass neon. Kind of an interesting test piece as well too, where you can see the exposed bottoms of all of those bulbs as well too. You see the blue and the red toggling back and forth.
Yeah.
And that's the red is actually neon. That's neon gas, burns red. The blue is actually argon gas. So about half of what you see is neon, half of it's argon.
Yeah.
And combinations of different colors of tubes.
That's your spectrum. That's what you can get.
Yeah,
you showed us a ruby red earlier, and you can see it up there. And it's hard to get that color.
It is. It's a glass that is no longer readily made and available, so it is very hard to come by. So when we see those preservation projects, we try to save those for the right job.
Well, now we're going to come back and look at more signs.
Perfect.
But first, I'd like you to show me how you're changing this building, because it's starting to look like almost like the people that work here are members of a club. It's starting to look like a real comfortable place. So let's go take a look.
Big family. Yeah.
Well, Todd, this end of the building, it's starting to look all the world like a sports bar. I mean, and of course there's still signs everywhere. But I mean, when you look around, it's a very comfortable, sort of almost like a party atmosphere.
Yeah.
What do you use this room for?
Like any good family, you work hard and you play hard, and it's important for us that our employees feel like family. This was actually at one time our stock room. We did some flip-flopping here recently, just making it more of a fun space for the guys they spend a lot of time here, and so we enjoy being able to spend time with them too on that level.
So this is the Bringett family here?
This is.
So This is the brain trust of the operation. Yourself and your
Yes.
family, you all run it, huh?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. We've got 6th generation here, 5th generation, 4th generation.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And of course, you say this is available for your employees to use as well. So, and when you have events,
And events
you can
too,
you
yes,
can let
absolutely.
folks come in here.
Yeah,
And just,
we're building, adding on to this by the day, and just a really cool space to invite the community in and enjoy it with us.
You're also developing the outside, aren't you? Let's take a look.
Yeah, we've got an old canopy from the old Ramada Renaissance downtown. Created a really cool
that canopy
space
there?
for us. Yeah.
Oh, that's
yeah.
from the Ramada Renaissance? Okay.
Lights up, color changing RGBs, and it does an amazing show,
how
a fun
nice.
space.
And of course, you got an old sign.
We
and you gotta have an old
got
sign
fresh
everywhere.
ones coming in. They're coming in left and right.
Is this going to be repaired? This car wash sign?
This was the car wash on 6th Street, another piece of the Route 66 history, and we've recently brought this in to do some refurbishing of it. It's going to be a new piece for the museum.
Nice.
So really excited
Okay,
about
so in addition to your seating area up there, you've also built.
Yeah,
I'm not even sure what to call this. What is that structure?
New
out there?
pylon structure
Pylon?
that is going to be housing some of our signage that is complete and getting ready to go out before it gets put onto a trailer. And in addition to that practical use, it's also going to be housing some large internally illuminated signs, much like what you see the Vegas sign graveyard and such. Just again, another cool place to be able to honor the history of the work that we've done and all of the great businesses of Central Illinois.
When you have to build really big signs,
Yeah.
do you have to create structures like that to hold them so you can build them? Is that?
Yeah, that really, when you are seeing a large sign structure, posts like that, and loads of concrete, much like building a building, that's what's underground. It takes a lot to support a large sign structure like that. It's a lot that goes into it.
Well, I think your dad is here. He spent his career building this business, and so did your grandpa, and I think we're going to talk to them next. Thank you, Todd.
Yeah, thank you, Mark.
Joe Bringett,
Yes.
we keep talking about grandpa and how many generations there are that this make up a sign
Oh,
company.
my God.
But you started in 1950 at the age of 20, and you are the grandfather of Todd, who we've been talking to.
Yes.
Your son Dennis ran the company for some time, for
Yes.
several decades.
Yep.
And you did too.
I did.
And when you started in 1950, you were pretty much hand lettering everything, I guess, weren't you?
We were, absolutely. It was a painted signs on plywood. Everything. And that was about it. We didn't have aluminum or anything like that because it was right after World War II.
Oh, well,
And
sure,
there was
because
no
everything
metal.
was short. Everything was short supply.
There was no
wasn't it?
metal or anything, even plywood. We had to make a deal with a lumber yard to get a sheet. So
One of the first things you see when you come into the sign area is this gorgeous. Is it a Model A?
yes, sir.
It's yours?
It used to be. I donated it to the museum.
No, well, yeah, but still, you get to see it anytime you want, right?
Oh yeah, I
So-
can drive it if I want to.
Can you still drive?
Oh yeah, sure.
Good for you. Good for you.
Oh yeah.
And you can, and that thing will run, huh?
I'm going to be 92 at the end of this month.
Yeah.
And I'm going to quit applying for driver's license. And so at the end of it, I won't be able to drive it after that.
Okay. Well, then you'd better get a good road trip behind you, huh?
You're right.
I want to look at some of the signs you worked
Okay,
on.
okay.
Follow me if you would.
Yeah.
Mr. Bringett, we mentioned this earlier. That Henry Nelt sign,
Yes.
it's really striking. And most people in Springfield know where that was.
Yep.
It was down on, I think it was 9th Street, wasn't it?
Yes, it
Yeah.
was. Yep, 9th Street.
And tell me the story of working on that sign.
Well, I worked on it at nighttime during after hours because we were so busy, and it was a Bel Air sign that I was working on at nighttime, and somebody was walking on the roof, scared the hell out of me.
I bet.
Yeah, I was by myself down there at nighttime. I thought, oh, someone's going to break in.
You wouldn't let your son do that.
Somebody's going to break in here, and I'm going to get the hell out of here.
Another one that I like, this Reich sign up here.
Oh yes.
Now, I didn't know this, and you hand paint signs just like this one here. Turn around here, take a look at it for me. That one right
Yes,
there.
that's
okay.
it.
Is that on glass?
Oh yes, sir. and it's on the back side of glass, in reverse.
So when you made a sign like that, you would have to paint backwards, the
Yes,
letters
sir. Yeah,
backwards.
yeah.
That sounds like a very difficult thing
You
to do.
could misspell a word pretty damned easy.
I bet you can. I bet you can. And then you have to spray paint the white paint on it?
That's what we did to that one, but most of the time we had stippled paint, and we would stipple it and model it, and it wouldn't have no brush marks left in it. But I think that was sprayed with a can of spray white.
Did you ever have any regrets at all about being in the sign business?
Many times. Especially when I made a mistake and it was called to my attention. I say, you know what? Beer drivers can't drink because they drink. Can't drive because they drink a lot. Sign painters can't paint because they don't know how to spell.
I think you survived the worst of it, though, didn't you?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
There's a couple of local landmarks for Springfieldians, Staub Funeral Home and Illinois State Fair. That Illinois State Fair is probably a 70s vintage sign, and Dennis Springett, that's why I want to talk to you now, because you're a 70s vintage guy. You got out of school and came full-time to the company in the 70s, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Graduated from Springfield High, 72.
72, and then you had at least 20 years where you were running the company before you retired and handed it off to Todd.
Yep, yeah, we've got a good family history there. My two sons and my nephew, Corey, have all been in the business since they grew up in it. And my sister, Joellen, worked in the office. So truly blessed with a good family heritage and a great team of employees and great customers. That's all it takes.
I'll tell you what, you got a great museum too.
Oh, thank you.
And this, I asked you to bring me to one of your favorite things, and you pointed to this old yellow cab. And I don't know if anybody's ever seen a cab of this vintage, but I don't know, what is it, like a maybe 35?
1931
31.
Chevrolet.
Okay, Chevrolet.
Yeah,
What do you
Lincoln
like
cab.
about it? What is?
Well, the thing that's special to us is if you look down here, real small, it says A Sign Company. That was actually lettered by my grandfather, Frank Horn, who started the A Sign Company in 1940. So that, and of course this is part of the lettering as well. That's part of what he did as well. So that brings back a lot of memories. And
Yeah.
I personally lettered a lot of Lincoln cabs myself as well. And Dad lettered Lincoln cabs. So that's when we put a pounce pattern on there and get our brushes out and do it to it.
It's amazing what technology has done to this business, isn't it?
It really
I mean,
has.
we're surrounded by vintage signs. You know, neon's been around forever. Hand painting's been around forever. But now it's almost unheard of to use those things. Now you're using everything sort of has been printed or scanned or wrapped or whatever.
Yeah, I truly, I am a dinosaur, you might say, being able to still paint by hand. Dad and I are probably the last of it, but my grandfather and my uncle and we go back. The family goes back 134 years in the industry. So
Hand painting.
yes, right.
Motor in, parking. Now,
Yes.
you told me something I didn't know, that parking wasn't always called parking. And you found that out when you got this sign. You found out that behind parking there was something else spelled there, wasn't there?
That's right. Actually, they used to use the word storage. That was the term that was used rather than parking back in the 1930s and 40s. Behind the P, you can barely make out a letter S. And you see the empty holes that were for the neon housing holes. That's what kind of tipped us off on why are those there? 'Cause
They had
this
to
is
be in
the
different
original
position,
signs.
didn't they? Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, to hold the different letters. Huh.
Right. So
Fascinating.
But this was in downtown Springfield on 4th and Monroe Street. And it's a real icon.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. Well, this has been very fascinating. I think some of our viewers would probably like Dennis to be able to come in here and look around. And in fact, you do encourage people to do that, don't they? If they've got an afternoon or a morning with not a lot going on, if they want to go through the museum, even though your folks might be working in here, you can have somebody show them around. Can't you?
Absolutely. I retired about a year and a half ago, and one of the things I enjoy doing is just giving tours to individuals and groups, and love to tell them a little history.
Well, Dennis, thank you to you and your dad and your son. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you very much.
Mark.
Keep in mind, the Ace Company Sign Museum is open to the public, And if you have a large group, they'd like you to call ahead so they can accommodate you. But if you want to come in and wander around and see if somebody's available to give you a tour of the sign museum, do that. Also, keep in mind that this venue is available for nonprofits if they have a fundraiser or some other event. With another Illinois story at the Ace Sign Company Sign Museum in Springfield, I'm Mark McDonald. Thanks for watching.
Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, Illinois Arts Council Agency, and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you.